And, well, look at this. We're back. The green screen's back. I'm not in America anymore, and I'm freaking out because my brain has completely changed what is going on. Also, hello, my friends. Welcome to Ups and Downs for Monday Night Raw, and I just want to take a second to say two things. One, thank you for bearing with me and supporting everything I did do in the USA as I went on tour with the Last Match musical. But also, very sadly, in the last 24 hours, John Klinger, who is a professional wrestler, passed away. And I just wanted to send all the love and thoughts to his friends and his family, because, I mean, A, it would have been awful anyway. But John Klinger was one of the guys who first helped me when I got into pro wrestling and even trained me for a while. And I tell you, he gave me so much advice. He was such a nice dude. And I have no idea what did happen, but when I read that news, honestly, man, it totally got me. So let's just use this to try and send more positivity into the world. Let's just be nice to each other. And let's stop moaning about wrestling, because life, as this shows us, is well too short. And now, using that in our minds, let's just try and have some fun. Again, like I say, all the thoughts and all the well wishes to John and his friends and his family. It absolutely sucks. Well, indeed, we did see everybody involved in the King and Queen of the Ring on Raw coming to the arena. For some reason, Jay Uso was really mad. Although I guess you would be, because he knew his evening was going to be this. Gunther loves death chop. Sami Zayn then kicked off the show and he was going to do the big opening promo. He was like, I bet you're wondering why I did agree to a triple threat match at the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view premium live event. And I'll tell you, it's because on the one side we have Chad Gable, and that's a personal beef. And on the other side we have Bronson Reed, and that is not only a professional beef, but it's just beef times beef, because Bronson Reed is really big, and therefore he needs to give you some beef. What? He then put over his heart and soul and said this is the reason he was able to defeat Gunther at WrestleMania and become the Intercontinental Champion. That surprised me. I thought he'd beat him with the haluva kick. Now, Gable had heard enough of this, especially because Sami had said his name around about 322 times. So as per Wrestling Rule 14.8, he came to address this. And he also just yelled at the Alpha Academy because he's a horrible man. This was kind of funny too because Sami Zayn instantly went, man, you're such a manipulative asshole. Chad was like, I'm not a manipulative asshole, but you, Tozawa, and you, Maxxine Dupri, I think you are utter failures. I was like, Chad, you're not doing the evidence any favors. He also called them the biggest disappointments on the planet. So I was like, this is like when I talked to my parents, when Sami Zayn jumped in once more and he was like, please, Alpha Academy, would you stop listening to this piece of shit? Gable then shut that down and told Sami Zayn, do not forget, even though it is a triple threat match, and I don't have to pin or submit you to become the champion, I'm still gonna make sure that it is you that I defeat, because I think you're an absolute piece of crap. And I enjoyed that. It just made Chad feel like a confident guy. We'll build into a match between these two, which I always kind of feel strange when you are so close to a premium live event, because it feels like you are going to give something away. But obviously they did have a great fight, and if you can believe it, Chad Gable went and won. That's always a double-edged sword because it probably means when we do get to Saudi Arabia, Chad Gable is not walking away with the Intercontinental title. But if it is Bronson Reed that takes the pin, what can Chad do in 1 week's time? He can say, it's not over between you and me, Sami Zayn, because what happened 7 days ago? That's right, I beat you. We also made sure we tied it into the story here because after Chad Gable had been closed on out to the ring, he was saying to Tozawa and Maxxine Dupri, you have to help me. And they didn't do this, and Chad got so annoyed, he became his own referee and he said, fine, you're out of here, and he sent them to the back. So I do not think they are long for this world. That sounds like they're gonna kill him. This, of course, served as a distraction, which is when Sam hit the least devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the Blue Thunder Bomb. And did it work? Of course it didn't. It never does. I always had decided to hang around though, and of course this was going to be a big thing as well, because at one point he was looking at Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn was looking at him, and Chad was like, finish him off, if you want to join the dark side. Let's just break it down, it's all essentially Star Wars. I always decided that he wasn't going to do this, and Chad could not believe it, and he was so damn mad, he grabbed the title belt, and he was going to use that as a weapon, because of course that's an inanimate object, and it's not going to have a choice. Once again though, this actually screwed Gable, because Zayn grabbed him and didn't explode it into Tina the turnbuckle. The referee was so concerned. It's when Otis was like, you know what, I will do what I'm told. And he attacked Sami Zayn. I was like, damn it, Otis, you just broke all of my dreams. It also allowed Gable to run in and hit the Chaos Theory, where he did get the 1, 2, 3s. You're meant to be like, oh, I can't believe it. The Intercontinental Champion has just lost. Hopefully you didn't watch the match like that, otherwise you wouldn't have known. You're blind. So in terms of setting up that triple threat match, this did work, although I was surprised we didn't see Bronson Reed, especially because after this, Chad Gable was like, yeah, and he was blocking Otis's view because he wanted to make sure he remembered who was boss, and I presumed that Reed was going to come out and just absolutely murk him. He did not, but as always, these two have great chemistry. They're basically science up. We then got this great video focusing on everything that had gone down in the Queen of the Ring tournament and reminded us we are getting Io Sky versus Lyra Valkyria later, when we had another interview with Chad Gable. Well, that was meant to happen, but just when Jackie Redmond was going to talk to him, we saw some commotion off in the corner, and that's right, somebody had attacked Cruz del Toro. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can figure it out, but we'll get to it later. When we got to a very interesting angle. Now, thankfully, Braun Breaker was in action, but he was taking on Kale Dixon, who was not a vegetable, but you should have been able to figure this one out. Kale was never going to win. And instead, what happened is that Bron speared him there, he speared him here, he speared him everywhere, to the point it was like, stop, stop, he's already dead. And the referee just called off the match. Now, this always confuses me, because the point of the pro wrestling fight is to beat the other guy. You should be able to do whatever the flub you want. The point is, though, is that Bron didn't listen to any of this, and he was going to finish this guy off using Simba the Steel Steps. And even though a bunch of officials ran out to stop this, they weren't able to because wrestling security sucks, and Braun Breaker did do it. So Kale Dixon is now dead. I mean, he even used a chair as well, and Adam Pearce was selling this like he had gone out of his mind. Don't forget, Braun Breaker is doing this because he wasn't put in the King of the Ring tournament. There's no two ways about it. He hasn't watched the last few King of the Ring tournaments because nobody wanted to beat in it then, because if you did win, you'd have to wear a Burger King crown on your head and everybody would call you King Bron. That sounds like some crappy breakfast cereal. The crowd did react to this big though, and it's the best thing that Braun Breaker has done ever since he did switch to Raw, and let's keep it going. We all know that he's a super duper mega star, but you've got to give him the right stories, so I am gonna give it an up. Crazy Breaker is really fun. Poor Dixon was also taken away in a local medical facility wagon, which is when Kiana James popped up. She was like, Adam Pearce, would you like me to help you? And Adam was like, not now, I'm having a bad time. This is when Adam also got into it with Braun Breaker, when Breaker reminded him, well, you're not treating me very well, so if you don't want any more of this, you better come up with the goods. So let's feed a massive name to Mr. Breaker and get this stuff going. When it was indeed time for Lyra versus Io in the Queen of the Ring tournament, and it got me. Because just before this, we had Becky Lynch go up to Lyra and say, oh, Lyra, you're gonna do great, I believe in you. I thought that was a double twist because she was gonna lose, but she didn't, and she flubbing won. It also ruined my predictions, because after Tiffany Stratton, do you know who my second pick for the Queen of the Ring was? Io Sky. So what do I know? Nile. We really need to give them serious time though, which helps the tournament so much. I know there haven't been that many, but I'm going to say it right here and right now, like I am Daft Punk, don't think they wrote that song. This is the best Queen of the Ring that WWE has ever done. Valkyria was also hitting crossbodies and fisherman suplexes to start when Io Sky came back with these knees in the corner. And I don't know if when Sky was the women's champion, she felt like she had to hold back, but ever since she has lost the title, she has been flying. I tell you, she looked awesome here. It was the same for Valkyria as we got tornado DDTs and also buckle bombs. And I did enjoy the way we sold that move. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, we shouldn't have done that. Maybe we're gonna have to stop the thing. Now, thankfully, we didn't because we already saw that, and onwards we headed. Sky then used all of that to go for her moonsault, but she missed. Although, when she went for the most devastating move, in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, Lyra reversed this, and she got the 1, 2, 3. So not only is she learning, but we sold this big. The commentators especially, they could not believe it. Once again, we got a solid winner and a solid loser, which is always my favorite thing in a tournament. And this is how you should use a surprise roll-up. Just don't overdo it. Io Sky also screamed at Lyra Valkyria after this while Lyra cut a promo. I was like, I'm going to win the Queen of the Ring. And look, she may very well do. And if she does, what a call up that will be. I mean, why else bring somebody up to the main roster if you don't have any plans? When we come to R-Truth, and I'm pretty sure he was telling the New Catch Republic how to do the hokey cokey. Some people don't like this stuff, which is fine, but I think you're nuts. Pete Dunne also looked like he was about to kill him, but these two left the room when The Miz walked in and was like, man, we better be ready for our tag team match with the Judgment Day later because they have got Carlito and they're all about the numbers game. When Truth went, don't worry, Miz, I've got some backup too, in the form of Andre the Giant. Now, Miz very sadly had to inform Truth that Andre died 30 years ago, but Truth is like, trust me, bro, you will see. And look, he was only half wrong, but I'm just gonna give it an up. Because again, go back to what I said in the intro, this was so goofy and it made me chuckle. As I've told you time and time again, that should be for life. Let's get it up. When Caleb Braxton was also chatting to Ilya Dragunov, this is how you sell a loss. He was all like, look, there's no shame in losing to Jay Uso. That's what happened when you do want to get the big victories. And also it's made me think, do you know who I would like to crack skulls with again? Gunther. So we are teasing that big. This is when Ricochet walked in and said, listen, Ilya, I know I lost to you recently, but that doesn't mean this feud is over. I was like, Actually, Ricky, that's exactly what it means. Sadly, though, we never found out any more of this, because all of a sudden, Braun Breaker just zoomed in from nowhere, and he speared Ricochet into a box-like structure. Now, he may have been going for Ilya here, because when I watched it, it kind of looked like Ilya got out the way, or tried to maybe save Ricochet. I don't know, either way, it didn't work. And Pierce was also having a breakdown after this, because he can't control anything. But if we do get some kind of match between these three, well, plug me on, man, and I'm good to go. When Gunther verbally wrecked Jay Uso, he does this. Now, he did admit ever since he beat him last time he had been wrong about Jay. But if we do break it all down, sure, Mr. Uso, the crowd loves you, but you are nothing more than just an entrant. And as I've always said, I am talking about what goes down in that ring, and when it comes to being the best wrestler, that's me. The Gunther is just the man because you do believe everything he does say. When we cut to the back, it was time to get into some Judgment Day stuff. Because they indeed promised Damian Priest that they were going to win the tag titles later. When they talked about this LW attack earlier, Carlito was like, it was me, I got them first, but now I better lay low for a while. I was like, Carlito, you're literally being filmed. This is like being put into the Witness Protection Agency. Then you walk around going, my name used to be this. If you're gonna lay low, you gotta stay quiet. Priest didn't like any of that, and he was like, listen, man, we're not your personal protection service. We're not the APA. This is when Dominic Mysterio and his moustache spoke up. And they were like, well, actually, he did help us last week. Maybe he deserves a hug. Damo doesn't think a one and done is enough, though, so he better keep help assisting. When Finn Balor was like, listen, we will win those tag titles. Don't know where Finn Balor has moved to, but it's a shame it's not you and I anymore. But I get it. You're now the champ. I was like, Damian Priest, you can't see this coming. They are most definitely going to kick you out of the group. When we had the most anticlimactic return for a while. What was this? We saw Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark having a chat when the camera just panned left, and who was stood there? It was Sonia DeVille. Now, in other videos, I would have gone, it was Doink the Clown, but it was so random, it wouldn't surprise me if it had been Doink. Now, she wanted to offer something to Zoey Stark, which Shayna was like, we want nothing from you, and they did walk off, and Sonia DeVille just smiled. Now look, I am going to give this a down, because I am a mega nerd. I really like Sonia DeVille, and one of the reasons we had last time is that we never got behind her properly, and this just scares me that we're going to do it again. Can we just give her a real push and see what she can do? But on the flip side, I'm glad she is over her injury. I mean, I just told you, I like her a lot. When I misheard what happened earlier. Whoops. I thought the tag team title match was going to be at the Queen and King of the Ring show, but it's not. We were doing it right here, and it was the Judgment Day taking on The Miz and R-Truth. And can you believe it? The Miz and Truth held on to their belts. I kind of felt like this was more of a story match as well, although straight away Dominic Mysterio was getting involved, and casting distraction, that's just what he does. But still, the whole time R-Truth warmed up his hand, he got the hot tag and he ran John Cena's comeback, when him and Miz hit a double 5-knuckle shuffle. And I was like, I still can't believe we are calling that this. I mean, it is meant to be a PG show. Carlito then ran down to try and help as he had promised, but Miz started punching everybody, which allowed R-Truth to hit the flatliner onto JD McDonagh. But of course, just when the referee was going to count to 3, Carlito put his foot on the rope. What an absolute dick. This is when it did go totally nuts though, because it turned out R-Truth had been kind of right, because we got this. Raw! Out came Braun Strowman, who I suppose is the brand new Andre the Giant. But also, I totally forgot about this. He does hate JD McDonagh. So JD essentially pooped his pants. He was so scared he ran back in the ring right into an AA, which is where we got the 1, 2, 3. And I suppose that we are going to do JD McDonagh versus Braun Strowman soon. And it will be Braun's first match back since he was injured. So I will bet my life, which is way too extreme, that he probably gets the win. Mostly though, I'm very happy that The Miz and R-Truth are still champions, and as dumb as it sounds, I just think they deserve it, because they bring me so much joy. And what is life about if not the joy? Up. Becky was then congratulating Lyra Valkyria for what she did earlier when Liv Morgan arrived, and basically did the opposite, because she insulted Lyra and smacked her right in the face. Bronson Reed also found Sami Zayn and was like, listen, mate, I don't care what you said earlier, I'm going to defeat you this weekend due to my mass. Once again, we need more of this. I need someone just to get totally stonked and win all the belts. We also saw Otis as well, which is when it got very interesting, because he went up to Sam and quite genuinely said, I'm really sorry about what I did. Zayn believed him because he does think deep down he's a good person, but I would actually do this. I would do a double turn here, and it turns out Otis and Chad Gable are a team for a while, because then you can break them up later in the year, and you can get to a big show and actually do Otis versus Chad. I mean, WWE has shown they're very apt at these things. Just the thought. Given that we had just seen two, out came Becky Lynch. Now, she did put over Liv Morgan as a proper contender, but because she did say her name so much, Liv came out just like Becky. Nobody cares about you, especially me, and right now I'm winning that belt because I need to finish my revenge tour. Becky thought it was great that Liv had finally found her purpose, but she couldn't relate to this because she had known ever since she was 15 years old, and she walked into a wrestling training center. And that is true. I recently finished reading Becky Lynch's book. It's very, very good. She still wants to leave the industry better than she found it too, which is when she said to Liv, what are you gonna do after you have got revenge? I was like, this is interesting. It's a bit like Alfred talking to Batman. Morgan laughed at all of this because Becky is none of what she just said, and in fact is the most selfish wrestler ever. When the fans started chanting what at her, Morgan went, I'm not surprised you can't hear, because all of you have your heads shoved so far up Becky's ass. So that's a pretty good shutdown. Point is, Liv Morgan is going to become the champion, but that's when Becky Lynch laughed this off. She was like, you got nothing. Liv then acted like she was going to attack Becky Lynch, but said she would save it till the weekend. And I kind of feel the same way about this feud if I had done the last few weeks, or this was a little bit better. Something isn't just clicking for me. I don't know what that is. However, if we do get to the weekend and Becky Lynch loses and Liv Morgan does become the champion, then that Battle Royal we did a few weeks ago will actually have more meaning. So I am going to give this an up based on what I think we're going to do. But again, there's just been a disconnect here, and I don't really get what it is. When Damian Priest lost it, I knew this was coming. So he couldn't believe that the Judgment Day hadn't won the tag team titles, and he even blamed Carlito. I was a bit like, bro, he's the only one that actually tried to help. He also told JD that he has to go to Adam Pearce and demand a match against Braun Strowman next week, which is the equivalent of suicide. So once again, we are just planting the seeds here, and eventually they're going to kick out Damian and go, man, you not as cool as you used to be. I think I actually agreed with all of this after Damian Priest had walked out, but again, I do think it is a ruse. But his whole point too is, oh man, we need to rebuild this group. And you know what a good way to rebuild is? By going back to the foundations, changing them completely. We then got some happiness because Xavier Woods was cleared, and this is when Kofi Kingston ran off to go, I'm going to get us a match. But Karrion Kross and Scarlett walked in, and they said all that weird flubbly-wubbly stuff to him as well, which is what they had said to Kofi last week. And it's all like, man, you can do better, or you can change this, whatever he's going on about. So clearly we are going to do a feud. At the moment, I don't know what's happening. To also point out that earlier on in the show, the commentators did talk about all these QR codes, so whatever the reveal of that is coming around soon, when I'm going to be a nerd again. Because as is Triple H's favourite thing, it was time to determine a number one contender for the women's tag titles. So we did a four-way, and it was Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark taking on Katana Chance and Kayden Carter, taking on Maxxine Dupri and Ivy Nile, taking on Dakota Kai and Kairi Sane. Now Zoey and Shayna did get the victory here, which did put a smile on my face. But how can any of these teams lay claim to even being a potential number one contender? Because every time they get in the ring, it's just lose, lose, lose. And I suppose that's not true for Kairi Sane and Dakota Kai, but it used to be Kairi Sane and Asuka. And look, it's not that bad when we do it with the other championships, but when it comes to the women's tag titles, they need even more respect and they need even more time, because for about 79 years, the WWE just forgot about them. So yeah, here comes the Miller Geek, getting it down. Still though, at one point, Baszler just applied the Kira Fuda clutch to Kairi Sane because she didn't enjoy what she was doing. When Zoey Stark booted Maxxine in the face, she picked her up and she threw her right into Baszler's knee, which meant she got the knockout blow, 1, 2, 3. So this was all right, and mostly I'm excited because I think, again, with the right amount of time, Zoey Stark and Shayna Baszler taking on Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair could be really good. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. Ludwig Kaiser then got mad at Kayla Braxton because Kayla dared say bad words about Gunther, and he was like, I think Gunther has proven himself, when he turned his attentions to Sheamus. Because he thinks he's gone from being a fighter to nothing more than a keyboard warrior, and if he wants to protect his legacy, he should never come back to Raw. And I tell you this, when I think about Ludwig Kaiser versus Sheamus, that is a match I would like to see. Drew McIntyre also stormed in here because he was like, oh, well, surprise, surprise, Adam Pearce hasn't booked me again, even though I'm the megastar. Also, going back to last week, no, Drew McIntyre did not get out promoed by Damian Priest. In fact, if anything, Damian is now spreading himself too thin as if he is Seth Rollins or peanut butter. And that's why before long, you know that McIntyre will be champion. That's likely what should happen. The skits then kept on coming too, because we cut to Chad Gable talking to the Creeds, and all we heard him say was, you should think what I just said, or think about what I just said. So we're teasing they're going to join him. They probably should. Owens then walked in and straight up told Chad that he apologized to Sami, but Gable thought this was great because he's playing the mind game. He then flipped on a lid too, and he got right Otis's face and was all like, man, you better help me at the pay-per-view premium live event. And even though Otis was all noddy, he had to actually say the words, which is when he went, whatever it takes, or whatever that thing that Chad Gable keeps making them saying. We already talked about this. We will see what happens. When it was indeed time for our main events, we did our new favourite thing when Jay Uso cut a promo and the camera followed him all the way out to the ring when he was going to get into a yeet down with Gunther. Now, I really did think this ruled because once again you could have gone either way with it because there have been some surprises in the King of the Ring. I mean, I assumed Gunther was the favourite and he did win, but did I believe in Jay? You bet your ass. Gunther just wanted to injure Jay's arm as well, so he threw it into barricade and right as a ring post, and at one point he uppercutted it. I was like, wait a minute, that's an arm hitting another arm, so an arm is hurting another arm. That's essentially cannibalism. Jay was able to get back into this with a second rope Samoa chop when Gunther went for the chops, but I think that reminded Uso, wait a minute, if he can spam moves, so can I. So he hit a super kick. Gunther then came flying out the corner with that awesome drop kick where he also hit a bomb of power for a 1-2-ooh, when he instantly went back to the arm, and then he went German suplex, big splash, massive clothesline. He is just great. The chops were then back, and Jay Uso was selling this like he was about to die. And look, I get this. They were in the corner, and the ref was like, we need to calm down. And sure, that's part of the rules, but it goes back to what I said earlier. Wrestling is about beating your opponent, let him beat. It did serve as a distraction though, because as soon as Gunther had yelled at this man, Jay Uso hit the massive spear out of the corner, but Gunther accidentally went into the referee, meaning when Jay hit the Uso splash, even though he had the 1-2-3, the referee took too long to get to his feet, so Gunther kicked out a 1-2-ooh. Jay Uso had kind of been screwed. Gunther then used that to his advantage instantly because he brutalized Jay Uso and then locked in the submission, meaning Jay passed out and Gunther got the win. And the absolute best bit about this Gunther King of the Ring run is that he could win with any move at any time. He's like a jack-in-the-box. It's also now looking like the finals could be Gunther versus Randy Orton. And search your feelings, my friends. Do you want that match? I certainly do. This was good. Getting it up. Which also brought us to the end of Monday Night Raw, and I thought it was an okay show. I do totally agree with you that some of the momentum post-WrestleMania has fallen into the wayside. That is always going to happen. I actually think this pay-per-view premium live event should be pretty good, and coming out the other side, we can start building some good things. Getting it up. Now, of course, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Leave a comment below with your own Raw thoughts, and click the video on the screen for ups and downs for SmackDown, where I shall be in some random hotel. But not anymore, my friends. We are back to normal, which is both good and bad. I'm gonna have to readjust here. My brain is in 1001 places. Don't know what that means. See you soon.